On the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, ghosts roam freely. 3 months into my pregnancy, while I was out helping someone exorcise evil spirits, I was accidentally possessed by a ghostly infant. I was about to discuss with my husband and decide to abort this ghostly fetus. Suddenly, I overheard him calling his childhood sweetheart who was unable to conceive. "Sarah, you pretend to be pregnant first. Once Luna's child is born, I'll bring that baby to you." Hearing this, I silently lowered my hand that was about to knock on the door. I was just worrying about where to send this ghost fetus. Since my husband's little sweetheart wants it, then, let's give it to her. My name is Luna, and I am a descendant of the Celestial Master family. My daily work involves slaying demons, vanquishing monsters, and exorcising ghosts and evil spirits. After becoming pregnant, I planned to take a temporary break from work to focus on nurturing the baby. However, during my last exorcism job, I was possessed by a vengeful ghost infant with deep-seated resentment. The ghost infant was reborn with hatred from its past life, inherently stubborn and particularly vengeful, making it highly likely to develop into an extreme, psychopathic serial killer. I originally didn't want it, but since my husband insisted on taking the child away to give to his beloved childhood sweetheart, I lowered my head and gently touched my still flat stomach. Perhaps I should let them be. After all, the founders said that in life, one must always be kind. I turned and walked back to the living room. After a while, my husband finished his phone call, brought a cup of warm milk, and walked over to me. "Luna, was the baby well behaved today?" I nodded and suddenly asked him, "Have you thought of a name for the baby yet?" Ethan Lu's expression stiffened, and he pretended to be casual as he replied vaguely, "Isn't the due date still several months away? We can think about it in the last month, there's still plenty of time." I put on a stern face, looking displeased, and pushed him away. "What's wrong now, my dear lady?" Ethan Lu walked over to me helplessly, sat down, and said as if by chance, "Sarah is also pregnant, about the same stage as you. How come she doesn't have as many strange temperaments as you do?" I sneered inwardly. Sarah certainly did not have the unpredictable mood swings of a pregnant woman, because she wasn't pregnant at all. Ethan Lu insisted on not naming the child, and I knew what he was thinking. It was nothing more than wanting to hand over the naming rights for this child to his beloved childhood sweetheart, but in that case, there wouldn't be much of a bond between the ghost fetus and Ethan Lu. How could that be acceptable? I pulled out a XH dictionary and slammed it down in front of Ethan Lu. "I don't care, I'm giving you 3 days. Whether you flip through the dictionary yourself or ask someone for help, you must come up with a name for the child." Hearing the words, "ask someone for help," Ethan Lu's eyes flickered. In the evening, I obediently drank the sleep-aiding warm milk and lay down in bed. The little ghost responsible for eavesdropping ran over, chattering as it reported to me, "Ethan Lu called that woman. He had that woman name the baby in your womb. He also said that since he was destined not to be by that woman's side in this lifetime, he would let his child stay with her instead." In the darkness, I slowly curled the corners of my lips. The ghost fetus had not yet taken shape. It would wait until the moment it grew into human form. It will automatically create a bond of fate based on his name in this world and the person who named him, Ethan Lu. You don't need to regret not being able to accompany your childhood sweetheart in this lifetime. On the day the ghost fetus is born, you and Sarah will be bound together for life. For all eternity, you will fall into the endless hell. 3 days later, Ethan Lu handed me an A4 paper with a name written on it. Beaming with joy, "Luna, I've thought it over. If this baby is a boy, we'll name him Precious Duncan Lu. If it's a girl, we'll name her Ophelia Duncan Lu." I paused for a moment and deliberately asked, "Why add the character, Duncan? Is it because of Sarah?" Ethan Lu's eyes flickered, and he guiltily avoided my gaze, coughing once before scolding me with dissatisfaction. "Look at you, once you're pregnant, you start overthinking everything. Sarah and I are a thing of the past. The character, Duncan, means promise or praise. I chose it hoping our child will grow up eloquent, talented in singing and dancing." "How did you even think of Sarah Duncan?" I nodded. "I was overthinking it. These names are really nice. The baby will definitely like them." Ethan Lu asked tentatively, "You really think they're good? No changes?" I gave him a sweet smile. "Yes, I won't change it." Noticing a strange movement in my abdomen, I glanced at Ethan Lu with a smile. At that moment, a layer of dark energy suddenly appeared between his smooth, full forehead and his eyebrows. It seems the resentment of this ghost fetus is even stronger than I imagined. It was so quick, and with the father he had chosen, a bond of fate was formed. Ethan Lu seemed very happy, took out his phone, and transferred 100,000 yuan to me. Coincidentally, Sarah is also pregnant. I have to go to the company this afternoon, so you can go shopping with Sarah and buy some things the baby will need. I clicked to receive the money. In the afternoon, Sarah indeed dressed up beautifully and came to take me shopping. Seeing her wearing high heels at least 7 centimeters tall, I feigned surprise. Sarah, you're already 3 months pregnant, and your mother-in-law still lets you wear such high heels to go shopping. Sarah's face stiffened, and she forced an awkward smile. Maybe it's because I'm still young, with good stamina. Being pregnant doesn't feel any different. It's just like usual, not like some older mothers who, due to their age, feel as if they've lost half their lives when they get pregnant. As she spoke, she gave me a meaningful glance. I scoffed inwardly. I was only 2 years older than her, just 28 this year. How could I be considered an older mother? Sarah hated me to the core. Yet she treated the unborn child in my womb as a precious treasure. As soon as we entered the mall, she dragged me straight to the maternity and baby section, picking out only the best and most expensive items. I made a move to scan the code to pay, but Sarah stopped me. Sister-in-law, let me pay. I don't know why, but I feel a special connection with the baby in your belly. Maybe he really was my baby in a past life. How about this? I'll cover all the baby's food and supplies from now on. I stared at her and asked, word by word. Do you really think this child has a connection with you? Sarah nodded repeatedly, even reaching out to greedily stroke my belly. In that moment of looking up, I keenly noticed that a trace of dark energy had also settled between Sarah's brows. After that day, Sarah practically acted as if she cared more about the child in my belly than my mother-in-law did. All kinds of nourishing foods for pregnant women, bird's nest, sea cucumber, fish maw, were sent over as if they were free. They even sent over a nutritionist who prepared the most suitable meals for a pregnant woman, covering 3 meals a day plus a midnight snack. The only things that Sarah never sent my way were the baby's clothes, diapers, formula, and other essentials. As my belly grew day by day, the smiles on Ethan, Lou and Sarah's faces grew wider and wider. When I was 7 months pregnant, Sarah invited me to their home to see the nursery she had personally decorated for the baby. Sister-in-law, your belly is already so big, why hasn't brother Ethan set up a nursery for the baby yet? Sarah's tone was filled with hidden pride and satisfaction. I secretly sneered. Ethan Lou would certainly not set up a nursery at home, because there's simply no need. According to their plan, as soon as my child is born, they would immediately hand it over to Sarah, and all that would be left for me is a stillborn baby that Ethan Lou specifically arranged. Pretending not to understand, I smiled gently and said, I plan to breastfeed, so the baby will stay in my room. We'll consider a separate room once the child starts kindergarten. Upon hearing the words, breastfeeding, Sarah's face twisted slightly. I secretly found it amusing. Sarah, this fake pregnant woman, probably will never experience the feeling of a blood connection that comes with breastfeeding in her lifetime. Perhaps provoked by my words, Sarah didn't even bother pretending anymore and brazenly boasted to me, saying, Sister-in-law, you probably don't know this yet, but this nursery was actually designed by Ethan himself, and this stroller, I suggested buying one pre-assembled, but Ethan insisted that others wouldn't put enough care into it, so he insisted on building one himself. Don't you think Ethan is going to be a great dad? I gently stroked my round, prominent belly, and nodded with a smile. Of course, Ethan will be a wonderful father, and you'll be a wonderful mother too. My words successfully pleased Sarah. Humming a tune, she happily tidied up the toys and bottles in the nursery. She didn't notice at all that the black mist spreading from my belly was tightly winding around her, strand by strand. And the wisp of black energy that had only been lingering at the center of her forehead had now completely covered her entire face. Time passed day by day, and in the blink of an eye, my due date arrived. I decided to give birth at the maternity hospital. Coincidentally, Sarah, who claimed to be pregnant around the same time as me, was also hospitalized for delivery. Her ward was right next to mine. Looking at my prominently raised belly, a glint of sharpness flashed in Ethan Lou's eyes. He remarked as if unintentionally, I never thought this child and Sarah would have such a connection. Even the birth date is the same as the child in Sarah's belly. I smiled without saying a word, merely echoing the sentiment. Sarah is truly good to this child. If one didn't know better, they might think this child is hers. Ethan Lou's hand, which was stroking my belly, paused slightly. At that moment, a sharp pain shot through my abdomen, and a warm stream of water flowed from between my legs. I grabbed Ethan Lou's arm tightly. Honey, I think my water just broke. At a time like this, as my husband, Ethan Lou should have immediately called for a doctor, but he broke free from my hand and immediately ran to the next ward. Not long after, I heard Sarah's screams coming from the next ward. "Hurry, call the doctor." My water broke. I tightly gripped the bedsheet, my gaze icy as I stared at the hospital's stark white ceiling. "Ethan Lou, I've already given you a chance. It's a pity you didn't cherish it, this last opportunity to escape the ghost fetus." I passed out from the excruciating pain of natural childbirth. When I opened my eyes again, my belly had already flattened. Ethan Lou sat by the bedside, looking at me with eyes full of guilt. With a hoarse voice, I mustered all my strength and asked, "Where's the child? Quick, bring him to me." Ethan Lou's eyes reddened as he tightly grasped my hand. His voice choked with emotion. "Luna, our child, is gone. The doctor said the umbilical cord was wrapped around the neck, and the baby suffocated and died while still in your womb." I froze for a moment, then began struggling violently. "I don't believe it. Bring the baby to me, let me see." The baby was kicking and moving inside me just a few days ago, perfectly healthy. How could it possibly be dead? Impossible. "I don't believe it. Bring the baby to me. I want to see my child." Ethan Lou held me tightly, whispering incessantly in my ear. "We will have one, Luna, we will have another child." I trembled all over, curling up in Ethan Lou's embrace, feeling the eerie ghostly aura emanating from him. A cold smile curled at the corner of my mouth. "Ethan Lou, there will be no more children between us, and you, from the moment the ghost child was born, have forever and completely lost the qualification to be a father." My child died at birth. Meanwhile, in the next room, Sarah gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The whole family couldn't stop smiling as they looked at the snow-white, adorable, chubby little baby. My mother-in-law glared at me with a dark expression. "Useless thing, after 10 months of pregnancy, you gave birth to such a dead child. If I had known you were so useless, I should have agreed back then for Ethan and Sarah to be together." My father-in-law even called it bad luck and didn't even come to the hospital once. Only Ethan Lou insisted on delivering postpartum meals to the hospital 3 times a day. The nurses all say I've found a good man, but only I know that I'm just benefiting from the light of Sarah next door, because every time Ethan Lou brings postpartum meals, he always brings 2 identical portions, and I am merely his tool to cover up the truth. The day of discharge from the hospital arrived quickly. Sarah had been pretending to be a new mother in the hospital bed for 3 days. And today she finally couldn't hold back anymore. Carrying her child, she swaggered into my ward, seeing the empty crib by my bedside, with nothing in it. The smile on Sarah's face was impossible to hide. "Luna, I've heard everything from Ethan. If the baby is gone, it's gone. You and Ethan are still young, and you'll have children sooner or later. How about I lend you my son to hold? Maybe it'll bring you some good luck. So next time you can safely give birth to your child." As she spoke, Sarah held the child, pretending to place him in my arms. Suddenly, the little baby in the swaddling clothes let out a sharp, piercing cry. Sarah's expression changed instantly, and she quickly took the child back. Hearing the child's cry, Ethan Lou hurried in and instinctively went to Sarah's side. "Why is the child crying?" With reddened eyes, Sarah explained in a wrong tone. "I don't know either. I just meant, well, I thought that since Sister Luna lost her child, maybe she doesn't have the fate to have children. I wanted her to hold my son, hoping it would bring her some joy. But as soon as the child got close to Sister Luna, he started crying." Brother Ethan, could Sister Luna be some kind of celestial loner, destined to never have children? Ethan Lou's expression changed, and he gently scolded. "What nonsense are you talking about? Aren't you the one who knows best whether Luna can have children or not?" Sarah was startled, and tears began to fall as if they cost nothing. Ethan Lou, feeling heartbroken, wrapped his arm around her shoulder and softly comforted her for a few moments. Then, turning to me, he said, "Luna, Sarah meant well. I know you're heartbroken about losing the baby, but you shouldn't take it out on Sarah, should you? All right, you stay here and reflect on this. I'll take Sarah and the child to the postpartum care center first." I suddenly looked up, staring at Ethan Lou in disbelief. "You're taking her to the postpartum care center? What about me?" The Lou family is not short of money. As early as when I was just pregnant, Ethan Lou had already booked a luxury suite for me at the postpartum care center. But now, Ethan Lou avoids my gaze guiltily and says impatiently, "Sarah couldn't book a luxury suite, since you've lost the baby. You won't need the postpartum care center anyway. Why not let Sarah use it?" I laughed in anger. "Who said I don't need it? Why don't you go ask the doctor? I had a C-section, and the baby was gone right after birth. I've suffered both physically and mentally. I need the postpartum care center more than Sarah. Besides, the child Sarah gave birth to isn't even yours, so why should you pay for her maternity center? My roar attracted curious nurses and patients. And the doorway of the ward was crowded with onlookers. Ethan Lu flushed with anger and glared at me, saying, "How dare you even think about staying at a maternity center? Do you know that you gave birth to a stillborn, causing my parents to lose face in front of our relatives?" To be honest, even if I didn't give the luxury suite at the maternity center to Sarah, my mom had already decided to cancel the reservation. Anyway, the child is gone, as an adult. Why do you need to stay in a postpartum care center? Seeing how heartbroken I was, Sarah hid in Ethan Lu's arms, curled the corner of her lips smugly, and said to me with feigned generosity, "Luna sister, it's not that I deliberately want to take this postpartum care center from you, it's mainly because the child is too young, and the hospital ward environment is too poor, making everything inconvenient. I didn't know you would argue with brother Ethan over such a small matter. It's all my fault, maybe I should just give the postpartum care center back to you." "What nonsense are you talking? The baby cries every day, keeping you from sleeping. Be good, listen to me, go to the postpartum care center, there will be a nanny there to watch the baby at night, so you can rest properly." Ethan Lu comforted her gently. Anyone who didn't know better would think Sarah was his legitimate wife, and I was the outsider. Watching the two of them pressed closely together, the sinister child in Sarah's arms finally stopped wailing. I couldn't help but sneer coldly to myself, go ahead, once you go to the postpartum care center, your nightmare is just beginning." Ethan Lu ultimately left. Before leaving, he impatiently tossed out a sentence, "The company is busy these days, I'll hire a caregiver for you. If you want to eat anything, just ask the caregiver to buy it for you." I looked at this man with eyes full of disappointment. Just a few days ago, he was still putting on an act. Now that Sarah has been discharged from the hospital, he can't even be bothered to pretend anymore. Well, with Sarah no longer here, there's no need for him to make 3 trips a day to the hospital just to bring her meals. I nodded. "Then transfer me some money, whatever you want to eat, I'll have the caregiver buy it for me." Ethan Lu gave me a suspicious look, making sure I wasn't speaking out of anger. His expression softened a bit, and he took out his phone. "Transferring me 200,000 yuan, stay in the hospital for a few days first. Once mom and dad have calmed down, I'll come pick you up and take you home." I wasn't sure when my in-laws would calm down. I only know that, in all likelihood, they won't live to see the day I return. While I was at the hospital, enjoying the good life with the 200,000 yuan Ethan Lu gave me, something happened to the Lu family. I had long suspected that the ghost fetus was highly jealous and held grudges fiercely. Mr. and Mrs. Lu had merely complained a little, feeling that Ethan Lu shouldn't have spent so much money on Sarah's child. That evening, while taking a bath, Lu's mother drowned in the bathtub. The police carefully examined the scene and determined it was not a murder. Lu's mother had simply soaked in the bathtub for too long. When she tried to get up, her legs suddenly cramped, causing her to fall and hit her head on the faucet. She lost consciousness and died from excessive blood loss. With the unexpected death of Lu's mother, the entire Lu family seemed to be cursed. On the 3rd day after Lu's mother's death, Lu's father was involved in a car accident on his way back from burying his wife. Apart from the driver, Mr. Lu, and 2 other relatives of the Lu family all died in the car. The police carefully examined the car involved in the accident. The vehicle was intact, and the brake pads were in good condition. The driver also said that everything was normal along the way, and the 3 people in the car didn't say anything else. Only hearing those 2 relatives complain that Ethan Lu didn't distinguish between close and distant relatives, they booked a postpartum care center for Sarah at 8,000 yuan per day, entertaining relatives, but had the assistant book an ordinary hotel costing 800 yuan a day. Father Lu also felt that his son shouldn't spend so much money on Sarah and her child, and decided to teach his son a lesson as soon as he got back. Immediately after, the moving car overturned, with both parents dying unexpectedly one after another. Ethan Lu finally couldn't sit still any longer. "Luna, both mom and dad are in trouble. How can you have the nerve to lie in the hospital enjoying yourself? Get discharged immediately, come home with me. There's a pile of things waiting for you at home. Are you sure you want me to come home?" I looked at him with amusement. Ethan Lu didn't even think before blurting out, "Of course, with mom gone, you're my wife. From now on, all the big and small matters at home should naturally be handled by you." I nodded. "All right then, but there's no time today. I still have one more checkup to do. Let's make it tomorrow." Ethan Lu left satisfied. In the corridor, the faint sound of Ethan Lu making a phone call could be heard. He was gently comforting Sarah on the other end of the line. "Things have been too busy at home these past few days. don't worry, tomorrow I'll have Luna discharged from the hospital and hand over all that mess at home to her, then I can come and spend time with you and our son. It's a pity. He probably won't make it to tomorrow either, in the dead of night. The lights in the hospital corridor seemed to suddenly malfunction, flickering on and off. A sinister ghostly aura crept from the door crack toward the hospital bed. Suddenly, as if the ghostly aura had touched something, it let out a sharp, piercing scream. The eerie aura quickly dissipated, the corridor lights flickered briefly, then returned to normal. I smiled faintly, waving my hand to disperse the pre-drawn array on the floor. The ghost fetus won't give up so easily. He has firmly believed that Ethan Liu and Sarah are his parents, but now, Ethan Liu has declared that I am the true mistress of the Liu family. The ghost fetus believed that Ethan Liu had betrayed his mother. He couldn't touch me, so he had to go after Ethan Liu. I had a wonderful beauty sleep at the hospital. Early the next morning, the tragic news of Ethan Liu reached me. The call was from the butler. Last night, Ethan Liu was making a phone call on the balcony of his bedroom when the iron railings suddenly broke. Ethan Liu fell from the 3rd floor, landing on his back. He survived, but from the waist down, he had completely lost sensation. The doctor said it was highly likely that he had suffered a high-level spinal cord injury, resulting in paralysis. I forced out a few tears and, with the help of a caregiver, hurried to the hospital. On the hospital bed, Ethan Liu was already awake. Realizing that he had completely lost sensation below his waist, he went completely mad. Ethan Liu frantically smashed everything on the table, pulled out the 4 needle from the back of his hand, and threw off the blanket, trying to get out of bed. The absurd thing was, now that he was paralyzed from the waist down, he couldn't even manage the simple act of getting out of bed. He could only fall to the ground in a pathetic state, only to be pinned back onto the hospital bed by security guards who had rushed over upon hearing the commotion. To prevent him from becoming agitated and harming himself, the doctor, after obtaining my consent as a family member, decisively used restraints to secure him to the hospital bed. Let me go, I'm not sick, I just fell from the 3rd floor. How could I possibly be paralyzed from the waist down? Luna, it's you, isn't it? You know I gave the child, I gave birth to you, to Sarah. And you had someone push me down the stairs. Doctor, give me the phone quickly, I need to call the police. Seeing the surprised and skeptical looks from the doctor and nurse, I let out a helpless, bitter laugh. I'm sorry, my parents-in-law passed away unexpectedly a few days ago. My husband might not be able to handle the shock for now, and he's probably developed a persecution complex. As I spoke, I pulled out the funeral photos and cremation documents of my in-laws. The doctor looked at me sympathetically and asked if I wanted to give Ethan Liu a sedative. I shook my head. Could you please give me some time? I'd like to speak with my husband alone for a few minutes, if that's okay. After the room was cleared, I pulled over a chair and sat quietly by the hospital bed. Ethan Liu, I wasn't the one who caused you to fall from the building, but you guessed right. Someone is indeed trying to harm you. Who wants to harm me? Were my parents' deaths also caused by someone? Ethan Liu widened his eyes, staring at me intently. I lowered my head, found a photo from Sarah's social media feed, and handed it to him. In the photo, Ethan Liu and Sarah were gently holding a baby's little hands, one on each side, looking so intimate that it seemed as if they were the real family of 3. Ethan Liu stared at the photo for a while, then looked up and sneered coldly. You're not trying to say that I ended up like this because Sarah had someone harm me, are you? I shook my head. It wasn't Sarah, the one who caused your parents' death, made you fall from the building, and left you with high-level paraplegia is the child you're holding in your arms, the one you treat like a treasure. Ethan Liu let out a scoffing laugh. Luna, have you gone mad? He's barely 10 days old, a baby who can't even crawl yet, and you're saying he's a murderer. I put away my smile, looking at him with an indifferent expression, and said word by word, what if I told you that he isn't an ordinary baby at all, but a vengeful spirit reborn? Ethan Liu, I was actually planning to abort him. If it weren't for your greed, insisting on giving this child to Sarah, your parents wouldn't have died, and you wouldn't have become like this. My words, like sharp arrows, pinned Ethan Liu firmly to the hospital bed. He widened his eyes in disbelief, shaking his head desperately. No. That can't be. Precious is less than 10 days old. He's so small, so adorable. How could he be a ghost child? Wait, Luna, how do you know that Precious is your child? Did you know about my and Sarah's plan from the very beginning? Ethan Liu suddenly looked up, his eyes filled with terror as he stared at me. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, revealing a mocking smile. That night, when you called Sarah in the study, I heard everything. In an instant, Ethan Lu seemed to lose all his strength and tactics, collapsing weakly on the hospital bed. I waited for a long time, until the very last moment before my patience ran out. When Ethan Lu finally spoke, he rasped hoarsely, "So, you knew all along that what you were carrying in your womb was actually a ghost fetus, yet you didn't care, letting me swap your child and personally deliver that deadly ghost fetus into Sarah's hands. But I still don't understand. My parents had no grudge against that ghost fetus. Why did it have to kill them, and me? I loved him so much, treated him so well, and he was still my own flesh and blood. Why did he want to kill me?" I lowered my head and chuckled softly. "Otherwise, why do you think I would choose to abort my own child? A ghost fetus is born from the reincarnation of a ghost infant, carrying the resentment of its past life. It is inherently stubborn and particularly vengeful. You and Sarah gave him a name, registered him under Sarah's household, and raised him together, so, in the eyes of the ghost fetus, you are his parents, and your parents naturally become his grandparents. However, your parents looked down on him as an outsider and even spent so much of the family's money on him. As for you, you made me, as the head of the Lu family, manage the household affairs. The ghost child thought you had betrayed his mother. So of course he wanted to vent his anger for Sarah." Ethan Lu clenched his teeth tightly, his hands gripping the blanket so hard they turned white. He stared blankly for a long moment before suddenly breaking into a fit of hysterical laughter. "Ha ha ha, retribution, this is all my retribution. Luna, how cruel you are. I swapped your child with a dead baby. If you wanted revenge, you could have just killed me. Why did you have to harm my parents? I reiterate once again, I did not cause your parents' death." Ethan Lu's eyes were bloodshot. "If you had gotten rid of that damned ghost fetus, how could my parents have died? How could I have ended up like this?" I sneered at him. "Ethan Lu, wasn't it you who insisted I give birth to the child? Come to think of it, I should thank you. If you hadn't taken him away from me and given him to Sarah as her son, it would have taken a lot more effort for me to help him pass on. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to tell you. I've already found out the origin of this ghost fetus. You'd never guess, it turns out to be your childhood sweetheart Sarah, the child that was aborted back then." I stood up and looked coldly at Ethan Lu, who was completely devastated. "Every grievance has its source, and every debt has its debtor. You and Sarah, one stole your own wife's flesh and blood to give to someone else as a son, a person who would rather raise someone else's child than keep their own flesh and blood. Don't worry, you won't come to a good end. And your little childhood sweetheart won't either." I turned and walked away. Behind me came Ethan Lu's desperate roar. "Luna, you allowed a malevolent ghost to kill people. I'm going to call the police. I must call the police to arrest you." Ethan Lu indeed called the police, but when the police heard that he suspected I had summoned a malevolent ghost, causing the death of his parents, and even had the ghost push him from the 3rd floor, resulting in his high-level paraplegia. The police looked utterly speechless. They turned around and called me, sympathetically reminding me that it would be best to take Ethan Lu to see a psychiatrist. I agreed without hesitation, and the next day, I sent Ethan Lu to a professional psychiatric hospital. Ethan Lu looked at me with venomous eyes. I leaned close to his ear and comforted him kindly. "Don't worry, in a few days, I'll send your childhood sweetheart in too, so your whole family can be reunited." Ethan Lu's lips trembled, as if he were saying, "Spare her." I let out a scornful laugh and turned to leave. "Let Sarah off? No, it's not that I won't let her off now, but that the ghost fetus won't let her off." A few days later, rumors of a haunting began to spread from Sarah's home. I heard that Sarah often hears the piercing cries of a baby in the middle of the night. When she opens her eyes, all she sees is her son's innocent little face. At first, she thought it was just a nightmare, but soon, the loudly wailing baby in her dream gradually crawled out of the mist. He reached out to himself, crying, with a pair of beautiful, large, azure blue eyes wide open, tearfully questioning why he would rather raise someone else's child than keep him. In the dream, Sarah watched helplessly as the beautiful child was torn apart by a sharp pair of pliers, blood flowing all over the ground. She suddenly opened her eyes and remembered who that child was. That was the child she had with her foreign student ex-boyfriend, but wasn't that child already aborted by her long ago? She also suffered a massive hemorrhage during the surgery, which damaged her uterus, forever depriving her of the ability to become a mother. Looking at the innocent little face of the baby in her arms, Sarah suddenly broke down and screamed, "No, this isn't my child. He's a vengeful ghost coming to claim my life. Take him away, take him away." Sarah frantically threw the baby in her arms onto the ground. The little baby burst into loud wails. Sarah's in-laws, seeing her drop their eldest grandson on the ground, were so furious they nearly killed her. Sarah's husband also suspected that his wife might be suffering from postpartum depression. However, Sarah insisted that she was not sick at all. It wasn't until Sarah attempted to kill the child for the third time that her in-laws finally couldn't take it anymore. They came to me and cautiously inquired about which psychiatric hospital I had sent Ethan Lu to. I kindly gave them the phone number of the mental hospital. The next day, I heard that Sarah had also been sent to that mental hospital. The day after Sarah was sent to the mental hospital, I officially took over the Lu group. At the same time, I announced to the public, I am pregnant, Ethan Lu and I are legally married, and we even had a child before. Now that I'm pregnant again, others will only congratulate me and encourage me to take good care of myself, hoping to give the Lu family a healthy, chubby grandson. After all, Ethan Lu's parents have passed away, and he himself has become mentally ill. This child in my womb, regardless of gender, will be the sole heir of the Lu family. As for that harmful ghost fetus, after avenging himself, he accepted my deliverance and was reborn. Sarah's husband did not grieve for long. Because I presented a paternity test that clearly showed the child had no blood relation to him, after learning the truth, he decisively abandoned the idea of sending Sarah abroad for medical treatment. As we left, we exchanged a knowing smile. Fortunately, neither of us got a divorce. As long as I remain Ethan Lu's wife, without my signature of consent, Ethan Lu will spend the rest of his life confined to a mental institution, forever labeled as a mental patient, and I, in the near future, will give birth to a child that truly belongs to me. This time, no one will be able to take my child away from me. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My roommate secretly used my lipstick. After discovering it, I sternly warned her, this is not something you can touch. She, on the other hand, put on a victim stance and accused me of bullying. The classmates, generous with others' kindness, all criticized me for going too far. Isn't it just applying some lipstick? Is it really that serious? I could only let out a helpless, cold laugh. Ordinary people don't know that this lipstick is meant for the dead. Once applied, it attracts vengeful spirits with intense resentment. Jiang Shui, did you steal and use my lipstick? I glared at my roommate in front of me and demanded sharply. Jiang Shui looked aggrieved, wearing an expression as pitiful as a little deer. Emogenia, what nonsense are you talking about? Who wants to use your lipstick? After saying that, the little pearls welling up in her eyes fell one by one, making anyone who saw it feel heartbroken. But I wasn't buying it at all. I opened the lipstick, pointed to the scratches left by her dry lips, and said word by word, out of the 4 of us in the dorm, you're the only one with lips cracked like this. These marks might as well have your name written on them. How dare you say you didn't steal a swipe? As soon as I said this, the other roommates all looked over. Seeing that the truth was exposed, Jiang Shui's face instantly turned pale, but the next second, she actually burst into tears with a loud, wah. All right, I admit, I used your lipstick, she sobbed. But that's because I had my first date with my crush today, and I wanted to make a good impression on him. So, I sharply interrupted, why the hell would you use my lipstick for your date? Use your own. Jiang Shui's tears fell like tap water as she retorted, but your Dior lipstick costs over 400 yuan per tube, yours is expensive. Of course I want to wear something nice for my date. I was shocked. When a person has no shame, they are invincible. Just because mine is expensive, you think you can use it? What kind of logic is that? She cried and apologized. It was my vanity. Genia, please be magnanimous and forgive me this once. Jiang Shui was making a big fuss, and the commotion lasted all afternoon, annoying the other roommates. Su Pingping, who slept in the bed next to mine, frowned and said impatiently, Emogenia, that's enough. It's just a bit of your lipstick. Do you have to be so aggressive? Yeah, another roommate, Li Lele, chimed in calmly. She has already admitted her mistake, so don't push it too far. We're all roommates, so just let it go. Due to personal reasons, I often don't stay on campus. Moreover, I don't enjoy making friends with living people. As a result, they have always treated me like a stranger. As far as I know, these people often gossip behind my back, saying that I don't live on campus because I'm not a decent person, but I don't really care. After all, the reason I came to this university to study is because it has a heavy yin energy, which suits my main line of work. I'm not here to play sisterly games or play house. I ignored their shameless logic and directly reached out to Jiang Shui. You used my lipstick, give me 400 to buy it, and we'll call it even. As soon as I said this, Su Pingping and the others exploded. 400, Mo Genia, are you trying to extort us? Seeing this, Jiang Shui took advantage of her roommate speaking up for her and burst into tears, feeling deeply wronged. Mo Genia, there's no need to make things so difficult for me, you know my family's situation. 400 yuan is my entire monthly living allowance. I couldn't be bothered to deal with her and impatiently shook my outstretched hand. 400 yuan, Jiang Shui, that's the price of this lipstick. If you knew you couldn't afford to pay for it, you shouldn't have stolen it in the first place. If Jiang Shui compensates at the original price now and settles this karma, I can still find a way to make amends, but if she refuses to compensate, I really can't come up with 400 yuan, Jiang Shui shouted. Mo Genia, you usually seem like a decent person, but I never expected you to be so unkind. The roommates all agreed. Exactly, you're really bullying people, Mo Genia. Where has all the education of today's college students gone? I snorted coldly and put down my outstretched hand. If you want to say that, then there's nothing I can do. I left a note saying, I hope you won't regret this, and walked out of the dorm. When I arrived at the classroom for class, I noticed everyone was giving me unfriendly looks and whispering about something. Just as I was about to take my seat, two girls sitting nearby deliberately spoke loudly. Seriously, how shameless. Jiang Shui used just a tiny bit of Mo Genia's lipstick, and now she's being extorted for 400 yuan. I've really seen it all now. A rich kid blackmailing a poor student is a first for me. Could it be that she's jealous Jiang Shui's makeup looks better than hers? Ha ha ha, so that's how it is. Jiang Shui got ahead of the game, twisted the lipstick incident, and spread it all over the class. Clearly, I was the one whose personal belongings were stolen, so why am I the one being attacked now? The thief is actually acting aggrieved now. At that moment, a boy strode toward me and slammed his hand on the table with a bang. Hey, Mo Genia, I suggest you go apologize to Jiang Shui right now. Me, when people are utterly speechless, they really do end up laughing. I asked him, what should I apologize to her for? He didn't understand my sarcasm. Instead, he took my words at face value and answered with righteous indignation, isn't it obvious? You have absolutely no manners. Jiang Shui only borrowed your lipstick for a moment. Yet you took the opportunity to humiliate her. You even have the nerve to demand a large sum of money from a classmate who is already in such a difficult situation. Don't you feel ashamed? I watched the boy with great interest. Perhaps it's a difference in customs, but we don't call compensation extortion here. Meanwhile, Jiang Shui walked over promptly and spoke up in a soft, tearful voice. Kai Feng, don't seek justice from Mo Genia for my sake. I'm fine. After saying that, she looked at me with a pitiful expression and sighed. Mo Genia, let's just leave it at that. I don't mind anymore. Hold on, the thief forgiving the victim. Where did this cutting-edge fashion come from? It's quite abstract, but I am also a very polite person, so I smiled at her. It's okay, I don't blame you anymore. After all, who would bother with a dead person? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone froze on the spot. It was Jiang Shui's little lapdog who reacted first, pointing at my nose and starting to curse. Mo Genia, what the hell are you saying? Watch your mouth. Jiang Shui also burst into tears, her tears falling like rain. Mo Genia, I know there's a misunderstanding between us, but you don't have to curse me, you're really too vicious. I smiled and said, thank you for the compliment. Kai Feng was so angry that he chased after me to hit me, but I had already gotten up and left the classroom. The class monitor chased after me and asked where I was going. Where can I go? I'm someone who's had things stolen, and now everyone's after me. I can't serve anymore, so I'm off. Class had already started, and the stairwell of the old teaching building was eerily gloomy. I stopped at the corner of the 4th floor. I greeted the person approaching, 8th Master. As soon as the words fell, the phrase, peace under heaven, came into view. A man dressed in ancient black attire appeared before me. 8th Master is clearly stunningly beautiful, yet people always love to spread rumors that he is fierce and terrifying. He leaned lazily against the stair railing and spoke softly, you've used soul-guiding fat. How could I not come? He lifted his head toward the direction of my classroom, his nose twitching slightly. Suddenly, he realized something was off. Wait a minute, how is soul-guiding fat being used on a living person? After only a moment of surprise, Lord Ba began to laugh wildly. Ha 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 ha, interesting, interesting, a living person used the soul-guiding fat, and Miss Xiaoyi actually let it go unchecked. Do you want that person to be devoured alive by a fierce ghost? He looked at me with great interest, as if he was ready to watch a good show. I couldn't help but twitch at the corner of my mouth. Fan, Wu, Wujiu, are you that bored? The esteemed Black Impermanence. Wandering around a university campus watching the commotion, reminiscing about your youth here, yes, the eighth lord before me was none other than the famous Black Impermanence from the underworld, Lord Fan Wujiu. As for me, on the surface, I'm a university student, but in reality, I'm a ghost official who has lived for over 1,000 years. Our family business is in the underworld, and we all make a living from it. In my family, each person's duties are very finely categorized. My part of the job is to deal with the evil spirits who have committed sins in the human world. When I work, I need to find the original bodies of these evil spirits and apply soul-attracting ointment on them. This object is extremely peculiar. The fragrance it emits after contact with a corpse can attract countless malevolent spirits, releasing a scent that ghosts find delicious. The torn remains of an evil ghost, shredded by malevolent spirits, will inflict severe damage on the ghost's soul. I take advantage of this opportunity to seize the weakened ghost's soul and then hand it over to Lord Ba. The 4 characters, peace under heaven, on Lord Ba's official hat signify that there is no mercy for those who defy the law and bear guilt. Simply put, any evil spirit that falls into Lord Ba's hands is done for. Over these thousands of years, I have dealt with countless evil spirits for the mortal world. Gradually, I have become more and more familiar with my superior, Lord Ba. All the other spirits in the underworld are afraid to see Lord Ba, finding him terrifying and imposing. In my eyes, he's actually just a show-off who likes to scare ghosts. In reality, wherever there's fun, you'll find him, a pure and simple fun-loving ghost, like right now. But since Lord Ba is my boss, I still need to come up with a quick excuse when dealing with the boss. Let me clarify, I didn't apply the soul-guiding rouge on her. She insisted on putting it on herself and wouldn't let me remove it. Jiang Shui could never have imagined that the lipstick she went to such great lengths to steal and apply was not a Dior lipstick at all. That is our ghost messenger's important underworld tool, the soul-guiding lipstick. I originally kept the soul-guiding lipstick in my bag, carrying it with me every day without fail, but today, when I arrived at the workplace and reached into my bag, I found the spot where the lipstick should have been was completely empty. I hurried back to the dormitory to check, and sure enough, it had been secretly used by Jiang Shui. It seems she had already taken this lipstick from my bag, just waiting for me to leave the dormitory to use it secretly. How despicable, and because of the missing prop, I lost the chance to capture a great evil spirit. Mortals do not know that soul-guiding rouge can be used on the dead, and naturally, it can also be used on the living. It's just that because living people have strong yang energy, the effect of soul attraction is diminished. Overall, after the corpse of an evil spirit is smeared with soul-attracting fat, the fierce ghosts attracted by the scent will severely injure or even tear apart the evil spirit's corpse along with its soul. My task is to capture the evil spirit's soul before it dissipates, imprison it in my treasure vessel, and finally hand it over to Lord 8. However, if a living person is smeared with soul-attracting fat, it will still attract fierce ghosts, albeit at a slower pace. The malevolent spirits would still be drawn, tearing at the flesh and soul of the living until they were utterly destroyed. Eighth Master was also drawn by the subtle soul-attracting fragrance on Jiang Shui. After hearing my account of the whole story, a flicker of surprise flashed in his eyes. Living long enough to see everything, there was actually something that could make the esteemed Black Impermanence feel intrigued. Unbelievable. I've seen people seeking death, and I've seen those rushing to their doom, but I've never seen anyone rushing to be tormented and slowly die. Forgot to mention, Eighth Master's mouth is also quite sharp, but this time, because Jiang Shui took my soul-summoning ointment on her own, the karma at this moment only involves her. If I want to help, it's not that easy. Besides, why should I help her? I initially asked her to pay the same amount as the lipstick price, which was actually helping her. I wanted to take control of the cause and effect of this matter, so I could use my ghostly powers to resolve and completely shatter its karma, but instead, she turned around and accused me of extortion. Well, I'm sorry, but after living for thousands of years, I've come to despise 2 things the most: playing the saint and dealing with ungrateful people. I am no saint, and the other party meant well but got no good in return, so let's just leave it at that. She brought this karma upon herself, so she should resolve it on her own. As I was thinking about this, the 8th Lord in front of me seemed as excited as a village gossip. Take me to see it quickly. Even I, the mighty Black Impermanence, am curious. It seems fools really do provide the most entertainment. I was estimating that the first malevolent spirit was about to arrive. 8th Master moved swiftly, immediately flying toward the classroom. The first malevolent spirit has arrived. In an instant, the lights in the hallway began to flicker violently. A ghostly aura so thick it was suffocating. Right after, a piercing scream came from our classroom. Lord Ba was beaming with excitement. Go check out the fun. Me, does everyone know that you, the Black Impermanence, are this unprofessional? Actually, I'm not really in the mood to watch Jiang Shue's misfortune. After all, the sight of a fierce ghost tearing at a malevolent ghost was never a pleasant one, and now, with the fierce ghost charging toward the living Jiang Shui, the scene was only going to become even more repulsive. But before I could refuse, Eighth Master had already pulled me into the classroom. A strong smell of rust, its blood. Jiang Shui lay in the center of the classroom, blood gushing from her shoulder. A circle of classmates surrounded her from a distance, but no one was willing to approach her. Indeed, the classmates were willing to twist the truth and stand up for her just now, only because she appeared pitiful. But when real danger arises, it's only natural to keep one's distance. At this moment, the onlookers finally snapped out of it and began screaming in terror. The classroom instantly descended into chaos. Guys, hurry up and carry her to the infirmary. Holy shit, her shoulder just started bleeding out of nowhere. It's terrifying. If you want to carry her, go ahead, but I'm not doing it. How can you not help a classmate in trouble? You guys are strong. What's the big deal about carrying her? If you're so amazing, you go help her. If you can't carry her, you can at least call an ambulance. At this point, the class gradually remembered that they should quickly send Jiang Shui to the hospital. The way humans shirk responsibility from one another is always amusing, no matter how many times I see it. Lord 8 covered his mouth and chuckled softly. Who says the human world and the underworld are any different? The news of Jiang Shui's injury spread across the entire campus in an instant. The school forum was thrown into chaos. Does anyone know what happened? Jiang Shui from the media department suddenly started bleeding heavily from his shoulder during class. What's going on, bro? Don't even mention it. It scared me to death. I was sitting not far behind Jiang Shui, and his shoulder started bleeding out of nowhere. What's it like? Tell me quickly, I'm dying to know. It's like being bitten by something invisible. The blood sprayed right onto my face. I'm still traumatized by it. I can't talk about it anymore. I'm off to see a therapist. Holy crap, the school was buzzing because of this incident, but Jiang Shui was left alone in the hospital, enduring the torment. Indeed, after everyone saw with their own eyes that Jiang Shui was bitten by something invisible, who would dare to visit her? However, there is one exception, Kai Feng, Jiang Shui's loyal follower, close friend, and unquestioning believer. He arrived at the hospital carrying large and small bags. Jiang Shui, look. These are the gifts from the whole class. Since too many people can't come to the hospital, I came on behalf of everyone. All the classmates are really concerned about you. In fact, these were purchased by Kai Feng himself. To protect Jiang Shui's self-esteem, he deliberately lied, claiming that the entire class was concerned about her. Jiang Shui didn't have much energy either, nodding perfunctorily. Kai Feng hesitated for a long time before finally asking, so, what did the police say? Jiang Shui's eyes darkened, and she let out a cold laugh. What could the police say? You saw it with your own eyes. It's clearly not something the police can handle. Watching Jiang Shui's gradually dimming eyes, Kai Feng's heart ached with pity. Jiang Shui, if there's anything I can do to help, I'll do it. As long as I can help you, I'm willing to do anything. Jiang Shui just stared at the ceiling for a long time. Suddenly, as if she had thought of something, her eyes gradually brightened. She grabbed Kai Feng's hand firmly. You can do anything. Is that really true? Kai Feng was startled but genuinely happy. He held Jiang Shui's hand in return and earnestly promised, of course it's true. Just tell me what to do. Jiang Shui, do you need me to get your change of clothes or ask for leave from school? A faint, almost imperceptible smile appeared in Jiang Shui's eyes. How could I possibly let you do all that? It's just, my request is a bit embarrassing to mention. Seeing Jiang Shui mention an embarrassing request, Kai Feng excitedly stood up. I can do anything. Overjoyed, Jiang Shui grabbed Kai Feng's hand. Hey, no need to be so formal, just call me Xiao Xue. After speaking, she slowly leaned into Kai Feng's embrace. I watched the whole scene from the doorway, feeling utterly embarrassed, and was just about to leave. Emogenia, wait a moment, it turned out Jiang Shui had noticed me long ago. Kai Feng, recalling the things I had said to Jiang Shui back then, spoke to me with displeasure. What are you doing here? Our Xiao Xue doesn't welcome you. But Jiang Shui completely ignored him, gritting her teeth as she pushed herself up from the bed despite the pain. She stared straight at me. Emogenia, let's talk alone. Xiao Xue, have you forgotten how she cursed you back then? I'm afraid you'll be in danger if you're alone with her. But Jiang Shui had her own ideas. Kai Feng, could you please step out for a moment? Kai Feng shot me a resentful glare, but he still followed Jiang Shui's words and walked out of the ward. In the ward, Jiang Shui and I stared at each other in silence. As soon as Kai Feng closed the door, Jiang Shui immediately gritted her teeth against the pain of her wound and struggled to sit up. Emogenia, was all of this your doing? Her eyes held immense fear, as well as deep resentment toward me. I was not surprised at all, after all. The classmates couldn't see anything, only noticing her shoulder bleeding. As the person involved, Jiang Shui had personally witnessed that fierce ghost grabbing her tightly and tearing a chunk of flesh from her shoulder. I said calmly, I told you before, that lipstick isn't something you should use. Jiang Shui's face turned pale. Are you saying that thing came because I used your lipstick, not because you cursed me? As she spoke, she grabbed my arm tightly. I snorted coldly, curse you? Who do you think you are, worth my curse? After all, casting a curse comes with a price. Even so, you can't bring something like this just because I used your lipstick once. When people are utterly speechless, they really do let out a laugh. If I remember correctly, this lipstick has always been in my bag. How did it just happen to end up in your hands right when I was leaving, and how did it just happen to end up on your lips? Jiang Shui, do I need to remind you? Don't make it sound like I forced you to put it on. I did try to talk you out of it. Jiang Shui pinched my arm hard, excitedly saying, Emogenia, since this lipstick is yours, you have to take responsibility for me. You don't want to see me suffer, do you? Ghosts are just too terrifying. I sneered coldly. I gave you a chance, and you refused it yourself. I'm not some great philanthropist. Why should I help you? As if remembering something, she pleaded with me in a tearful voice. You said before that if I transferred you 400, this matter would be settled. I'll transfer it now. I'll transfer it right now. Okay, forget 400. I'll transfer 4,000 to you. No, I'll transfer 40,000. Please, Emogenia, I really don't want to die. As soon as the words fell, Jiang Shui grabbed her phone and swiftly transferred 40,000 to me. Eighth Master, who was watching the drama from the sidelines, glanced at my phone screen, raising an eyebrow with a look of amusement. Wasn't she supposed to be a poor student? Indeed, this is not the kind of savings a financially struggling student should have. Eighth Master truly lives up to his reputation as a gossip connoisseur. He fixed his gaze on Jiang Shui, instantly furrowing his brows. TSK, this money cannot be accepted. It's tainted with heavy sin. Simply put, it's blood money. I recall that Jiang Shui has been frequently taking on a part-time job lately. Every time she returns to the dorm, she proudly boasts about closing another big deal. I looked at Eighth Master, a case involving a human life. Eighth Master nodded. No wonder the fierce ghost could get so close to her and even harm her. Yes, if a person walks the straight and narrow, the yang energy in their body can ward off fierce ghosts. So when Jiang Shui was directly bitten by a fierce ghost and a piece of flesh was torn off, both Eighth Master and I were shocked. It turns out she is no different from an evil ghost. It's just that she hasn't died yet, that's all. I clicked to refund the transfer in front of Jiang Shui. I can't help you, and I don't want to. Someone like you deserves to die. Moreover, the soul-guiding fat has already taken effect. Unless the 5-day time limit expires, no one can stop it during this period. Jiang Shui probably blamed all the faults on me in her heart. At this moment, she even jumped up from the bed, shook my shoulders, and started cursing loudly. Emogenia, you bitch, you're just jealous that more people like me than you, that I'm prettier than you, so you deliberately flaunt your expensive cosmetics in front of me, tempting me to steal and use your lipstick. You bitch, this is all your fault. You just wanted to harm me. I stared at Jiang Shui, stunned and speechless. She stole my things, and it's still my fault. Very good cheekiness, making the corner of my mouth twitch. I couldn't be bothered to stoop to her level. Just as I was about to turn and leave, I noticed that Eighth Master was holding something in his hand. Wait a moment, something's not right. I saw Eighth Master holding a soul-hooking chain, a rare glint of killing intent flashing in his eyes. What is this woman talking about? Our Xiaoya is clearly much prettier than her. He turned to look at me. Xiaoya, I just checked. This woman has committed too many sins and is already listed in the Book of Life and Death. I can deal with her right now. No need to wait for the vengeful ghost to take care of her. The corner of my mouth twitched again. I immediately made a gesture to stop him. Eighth Master, don't do this, and don't call me Xiaoyi. It's too mushy. Anyway, Jiang Shui has already been tainted by the soul-guiding fat. So let the fierce ghost end her life of endless sin. it suits her just right. Why bother having Master Ba take action early? I'll have to bring wine to explain to the King of Hell when the time comes, but thinking of this, I find it strange again, since Jiang Shui is full of sins, why wasn't she torn apart by evil spirits, but only bitten once? I was just about to ask Eighth Master, but Jiang Shui screamed at me, Emogenia, who have you been talking to since just now? She glared at me fiercely, her expression so resentful it seemed she wanted to devour someone. Could it be? Could it be that thing was summoned by you? You summoned it to harm me? Watching as the soul-hooking chain in Lord Ba's hand began to clatter again, I quickly stopped Jiang Shui's words. You have no morals, but your imagination is quite rich. Anyway, this is the fate you chose for yourself. I can't help you. After saying this, I turned and walked out, ignoring Jiang Shui's screams in the ward. After all, the second evil spirit is coming soon, isn't it? I really don't want to see any more bloody scenes. After watching them for so many years, it's just not interesting at all. The next day, at school, I heard the classmates gathering together, whispering and discussing. It's terrifying. Last time it was the shoulder, and this time it's an entire thigh. It was even bitten off. I shrugged. Indeed, Jiang Shui being torn apart by the vengeful ghost was just a matter of time, and the process would only accelerate. But the next second, I heard something that surprised me. You know, Kai Feng is really something, going alone to that eerie place in the middle of the night. Is he afraid he won't die fast enough? Watch your mouth. I also heard from Kai Feng that it was Jiang Shui who asked him to help perform a ritual at the cemetery. Maybe he was tricked by Jiang Shui. What? The one who lost a leg wasn't Jiang Shui, it was Kai Feng. But I saw that Kai Feng had a very strong yang energy. He stood up for Jiang Shui earlier because he firmly believed she was being bullied by me. He can only be described as foolish, but he is not a bad person. In fact, he even possesses a sense of justice. Logically speaking, his yang energy should be sufficient to withstand the attacks of malevolent spirits. Moreover, the ghost was supposed to attack Jiang Shui, so why did it attack him? Wow, look. Someone even took a photo when Kai Feng was being pulled into the ambulance. Hearing this, I immediately rushed over. Show me the photo. The person was startled by me and said with displeasure, Emogenia, don't scare people like that. Okay, we haven't settled the score with you yet for cursing Jiang Shui before. Don't talk to her. Be careful, she might curse you. My roommate Su Pingping glared at me from the side, speaking sarcastically. I had no patience to explain to them. Photo. Perhaps realizing my unusual seriousness, the person immediately showed me the photo. Indeed, Kai Feng thought he was going to help Jiang Shui perform a ritual to drive away the vengeful ghost. In reality, the talisman he was holding was an ancient life exchange charm. If it weren't for Kai Feng's tough luck, it wouldn't just be a matter of one leg right now. This Jiang Shui is trying to make Kai Feng risk his life to take the fall for her. I sneered and looked at my roommate. Su Pingping, don't talk to me, you must have misunderstood. If you really want to save your life, I advise you not to talk to Jiang Shui. I've said all I need to say. With that, I left the classroom. Although Kai Feng had shielded Jiang Shui from the attack for one night, the 5-day effect of the soul-guiding fat had not yet ended, and the vengeful ghost's attacks on her would not stop. If you want to look out for yourself, the best strategy is to stay far away from Jiang Shui. However, whether she takes these words to heart is beyond my control. This Jiang Shui has some tricks up her sleeve. Fan Wuzhou's voice echoed in my ear. Eighth Master, he continued speaking to himself, this talisman is very ancient. I just went to check on Kai Feng, and indeed, the aura matches the one on Jiang Shui. I looked at him, and our eyes met. You mean, that's right, the heavy aura of sin on Jiang Shui is related to this talisman, so that's how it is. So, everything makes sense now. It turns out that Jiang Shui, as a financially disadvantaged student, was able to have a large amount of money because she was involved in schemes to kill for profit. When she encountered a vengeful spirit, she was able to come up with the idea of using Kai Feng as a substitute so quickly, and she even had such a perfect ancient substitute talisman. The talisman on Kai Feng's body carries the same scent as the sins on Jiang Shui. All the evidence suggests that Jiang Shui's previous business involved accepting large sums of money to transfer the sins of some people onto another innocent person, a life for a life. So, when she witnessed the malevolent ghost attacking her with her own eyes, I was only briefly terrified for a moment. I immediately felt a chill and asked Eighth Master, how could Jiang Shui know such a talisman? The age of this talisman, yes, this is a forbidden art, it has long been lost among the people. Eighth Master pretended to be mysterious, coughed once, and continued, my subordinates have already investigated it clearly. Jiang Shui started this business during her university years. You also know that your school has an extremely heavy yin energy, surrounded by cemeteries nearby, so some ghost cultivators also lurk here to practice. That life for a life talisman was taught to Jiang Shui by that ghost cultivator. I felt puzzled. Why go through all that trouble? Couldn't the ghost cultivator handle this matter themselves? Lord Ba rarely gave me a knock on the head. Emogenia, oh Emogenia, are you truly foolish, or have you become dull from studying? I always said that going to university makes people a bit silly. Do you know why this talisman became a forbidden art? Originally, A was listed in the Book of Life and Death, so A should have died. But A bought B's life to die in their place. When the ghost officials saw that the time was almost up and went to collect A's soul, they arrived to find us still alive and well, while B, who wasn't even listed in the Book of Life and Death, was already dead. Doesn't that throw everything into chaos? If this happens too often, do you think the underworld will send someone to capture them? Well, that's true, the consequences of causing too much trouble. Jiang Shui is a perfect example. Eighth Master nodded and added. And it just adds to the workload for us underworld staff. Seriously, the job is already tough enough as it is. What kind of people are they? I could actually sense a hint of resentment. No wonder he's so fond of gossiping. It turns out the work was just too boring, but it's okay. I've already dealt with that ghost cultivator. So, Xiao Yi, let's go see which lucky alumnus Jiang Shui has chosen to be her next scapegoat. Shall we? I correct. This guy probably has a natural love for watching drama. The next day, Jiang Shui actually came back to class despite her wound not having fully healed. She cried with tears streaming down her face, looking genuinely heartbroken over Kai Feng's injury, yet I could smell a pungent, overwhelming scent of sin. The fragrance of the soul-guiding balm grew even stronger. I knew Jiang Shui was growing anxious. Today marked the third day since she had applied the soul-guiding balm. Kai Feng's attempt to find a scapegoat failed, and today, she must find the next one, as I expected. As soon as she returned to the dormitory, she took out 2 gifts for Su Pingping and Li Lele. They were actually 2 Chanel lipsticks. She stammered, crying and telling her story. Before, Kai Feng heard that I had a dispute with my roommate because I envied others using high-end lipsticks, so he insisted on buying 2 high-end lipsticks for me. But now, whenever I see these 2 lipsticks, I think of how much Kai Feng suffered, and I really don't have the mood to dress up. Pingping, Lele, you've been so kind to me. These 2 lipsticks are still new, and I'd like to give them to you. I hope you won't mind. Li Lele's eyes lit up. Not at all. How could I mind? I understand how seeing this lipstick makes you think of someone, but Chanel isn't to blame. I'll just use it for you, so you don't have to feel bad looking at it. Su Pingping had actually considered keeping it, after all. Her monthly allowance wasn't much, and she had been eyeing a Chanel lipstick for a long time. The one Jiang Shui handed her was even the shade she wanted most. But her outstretched hand paused, suddenly remembering what I had said. If you want to live a little longer, stay away from Jiang Shui. I don't need it. I've had lip inflammation recently, so I won't be wearing makeup. If Lele likes it, you can give it to Lele. Before Jiang Shui could respond, Li Lele snatched the lipstick right out of her hand. It's fine, Pingping, I can use 2 lipsticks by myself. Su Pingping's face clearly showed discomfort, but she didn't say anything. In the afternoon, while Li Lele was alone in the dorm, I went to find her and got straight to the point. Throw those 2 lipsticks away, and make sure to throw them into the river or burn them. Don't tell Jiang Shui about this. But Li Lele gave me a look that seemed to say, are you okay? And retorted loudly. Emogenia, are you crazy? Are you picking a fight with lipsticks now? Are you saying that only you can have Dior lipsticks in the whole dorm, and I'm not allowed to have Chanel? That's ridiculous. Yes. Your Chanel lipstick contains a life substitution talisman. Originally, there was only one, but you eagerly snatched another one for yourself. I wonder who the real joke is. Who would have thought that Li Lele would size me up for a long time, only to come to a conclusion in the end? You're not thinking of using it, are you? You know me, I have a bit of a cleanliness obsession. She sighed helplessly and said, all right, fine, I can give it to you when I've used it up, but until then, don't even think about it. Before she could finish speaking, I had already walked out of the dorm. Who wants to use your crappy lipstick? Even if you have it, you need to be alive to use it. But after just a few steps, I turned back to the dormitory. After all, it's an innocent life. I picked up the dressing mirror on the table and handed it to Li Lele. drawing on the meager acting skills I've accumulated over thousands of years. I realize I haven't communicated with you all enough before. I've noticed that you're quite straightforward, and I really like simple people like you. Didn't you say this mirror was pretty before? I'm giving it to you now. I hope you like it and can use it every day. Li Lele happily accepted the mirror. Damn it. My limited edition Chanel makeup mirror. When handing it to her, I cast a small spell on it. Just one look in the mirror, and all the spells would be dispelled, including that life substitution talisman. So, when applying lipstick, look in the mirror, and the spell won't take effect. But I never expected that something would happen again so soon. It wasn't Li Lele who got into trouble, it was our department's classmate, Zhao Cici. Li Lele looked at Zhao Cici's body. The shade of lipstick on her lips filling her with terror. She came to find me. You told me before to throw away the lipstick. What was that about? What exactly is that lipstick? Tell me, hurry up and tell me. I only found out after asking around. It turns out that Li Lele, the money grubber, sold the lipstick and mirror right away. Zhao Cici bought a lipstick. Thus, she died suddenly right there. She was bleeding from all 7 orifices, with not a single patch of skin intact on her body, looking as if she had been torn apart with great force. Another classmate also bought lipstick, but she also bought a mirror, so everything was peaceful. If I had known I could buy it with money, I should have bought the lipstick from Li Lele back then, after being a ghost official for 1,000 years. You still can't let go of that little bit of kindness in your heart. What, haven't you realized yet that there's no difference between humans and ghosts? Lord Boss spoke calmly from the side. That's right, all of this is fate. I tried to persuade them, but I cannot control everyone's destiny, nor do I have an obligation to take responsibility for those who have died. As for the living, I can still save them. I pretended to really want that lipstick and mirror, then went back and bought them. A ghostly flame ignited in my hand, and I burned the talisman, of course. Li Lele paid for it. After the tragic death of Zhao Cici, she has become very obedient now, following my every word. That night before going to bed, Li Lele secretly called me to the bathroom. Sister Mo, don't stick to your pillow. After saying that, she and Su Pingping quite preciously decided to return to their hometowns for a few days. The effect of the soul-guiding fat was still present, even though a sacrificial ghost had already died in place of Jiang Shui. The fragrance of the soul-guiding fat would not disappear because of it. This is the last day. As long as she gets through this day, Jiang Shui will be free, but her mistake was targeting me. I pretended to know nothing, climbed onto the bed, and lifted the pillowcase to take a look. Sure enough, there was a trace of a hidden seam. Inside was a small piece of paper. A burst of laughter erupted around. It was Lord 8. Ha 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 ha. I've lived long enough to see this. This is the first time I've seen someone try to scheme against a ghost official. I looked at him with a helpless expression in my eyes. First of all, you don't count as having lived a long life because you're already dead. Secondly, could you please not fly into the girls' dormitory without permission like this? Lord 8 laughed so hard that his abs were twitching, and it took him a long time to stop. Interesting. So what are you planning to do now? I fiddled with the piece of paper in my hand. A cluster of ghostly flames rose from the palm, and the paper burned away without leaving a trace. With the mighty 8th Lord by my side, what little ghost would dare to act recklessly? Just take out your sunflower seeds and wait for the show. Inside the tightly closed dormitory, gusts of eerie wind swept through. I lay there pretending to scroll through my phone, but from the screen's reflection, I saw Jiang Shui staring at me with a sly smile. Does she think I'm going to die? Unfortunately, her judgment is as unreliable as her mind. A chilling wind swept through, causing the curtains and bed sheets inside the room to fly up instantly. As I turned my head, I saw a terrifying, ferocious ghost with a twisted face and disheveled hair passing through the tightly closed window. Even with mental preparation, Jiang Shui was still greatly startled, but she immediately covered her eyes with the bed sheet, murmuring to herself, I am not me. Mo Jinya is me. I was speechless, 8th Master speechless. The fierce ghost looked at her, then at me, remained silent for a moment, and then looked at her again. What, are you kidding me? The fierce ghost tore open its bloody maw and lunged toward Jiang Shui. Jiang Shui's body, which had been trembling with excitement, was instantly bitten with a large gash. The trembling stopped, but a steady stream of fresh blood flowed out. Why me? You should go find Mo Jinya. Jiang Shui let out a second heart-wrenching scream. The malevolent ghost suddenly stopped its movement and turned to look at me. Yes, that's me, you stupid ghost. Can't you see clearly before biting? that's Jiang Shui." As soon as the words were spoken, there was a tearing sound. One of Jiang Shui's calves was bitten off by the ghost. "Greetings, Lord 8. The fierce and men-preciousing ghost now looked at Lord 8 with eyes that resembled those of a frightened fawn. It seemed that Lord 8's loud laughter just now had caught the ghost's attention. Lord 8 covered his mouth and continued to chuckle. "Go ahead and carry on with your business. None of us had any intention of stopping her." This was a mess of Jiang Shui's own making. Jiang Shui seemed to realize that her talisman had failed. At that moment, she panicked and began to cry. "Emogenia, you have such a cruel heart. Are you only satisfied when I'm dead?" Seeing me look at her with the eyes of someone looking at a dead person, she switched to a pitiful tone and said, "I can see you have the ability. Saving a life is more meritorious than building a 7-story pagoda. You clearly can save me, so why won't you? What a pity, Jiang Shui's admirers aren't here." So no one supported her twisted logic. I looked into her eyes and said word by word, "Jiang Shui, did Kai Feng voluntarily choose to lose a leg? Did Zhao Sisi voluntarily choose to lose her life? Did those whose lives you took say they had lived long enough?" I walked step by step toward her, revealing a fact that shocked her. "Jiang Shui, because of the many sins you have committed, your allotted lifespan ends today. You were meant to die. It's just that you stole my lipstick and chose the most painful way to die yourself." After saying that, under Jiang Shui's terrified gaze, more vengeful spirits arrived one after another. They tore her apart, bite by bite, until she could no longer scream. This time, it was even better. I didn't have to lift a finger. As Jiang Shui's soul left her body, my superior grabbed it and took it straight back to the underworld. It said she's headed for the 18th level of hell, but that has nothing to do with me anymore. I snapped my fingers and instantly incinerated Jiang Shui's blood-stained bedsheet. Things destroyed by ghost fire leave no trace. Finally, after not seeing Jiang Shui for too long, Kai Feng reported it to the police, and the police ultimately closed the case as Jiang Shui's disappearance. With too many incidents occurring one after another at the school, most students voluntarily withdrew, and the school, unable to continue operating, decided to permanently shut down. The school gradually became an exploration site for some Douyin bloggers. One day when I returned to school to pack my things, a blogger came over to interview me. "Is it true that this school is often haunted? What are your thoughts on ghosts and spirits?" I thought for a moment and solemnly advised, "My opinion is, don't use other people's things carelessly, because you never know if they were meant for the living." After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.